Thank you, everybody, for coming here and listening to my talk. I'm going to tell you guys a bit about, first of all, I was curious, how many people here work in tech or in product? Just to gauge, that's good for me. Because I'm also in product, so my talk is a bit more tech. So it's good for me that the group kind of knows where I'm coming from. So I'm going to talk about a customized approach to product management, and I'll get more into detail of what that means. I'll give you first a short intro about me and about the company, and then I'll go into my key learnings of how to actually adapt your approach to product management to your company. So short intro about me. Previously, I worked at TapTalk in San Francisco, a small startup, and after I decided to move back to Amsterdam, because I'm from the Netherlands, to work for WeTransfer, where I worked on our new iOS app proposition. And after 2 years and the launch of the app, I decided to make a move again, and that's when I came to Berlin and joined Highsnobiety as a product manager. It's always a bit of a hit or miss when you talk about Highsnobiety, if people know what it is, what we actually do. I have a bit of a hard time explaining, so I'm just going to start with a video of the brand to get a sense of what we stand for. It might be a bit loud for the dog. Do you think it would be okay? Okay. Okay.
Every day, everything you do is like you have a paintbrush, a little bit of paint, and you're splashing color onto the wall.
What's up, Highsnobiety?
Let's talk about sweet people.
And you're very close to it because it's every day. And you just see, there's loads of spots on the wall, but one day when you get older, you're gonna make a step back. You're gonna see a beautiful picture. If you want to get out of darkness and towards the light, make the step towards the light. One day, it will all make sense.
So about Highsnobiety. Highsnobiety was founded in 2005 by our current CEO, David Fisher, and it grew organically from a passion blog to this huge global media company that also has his creative agency internally. We're about 150 people in 5 different offices around the world, and it's quite fun to know that the headquarters is here in Berlin, so the biggest team is here, including the tech team. So I'll give you a bit of insight of what the tech team at Highsnobiety looks like. We're around 30 people focusing on product, tech, and design and data. We're divided in different teams, each focusing on a different, almost I want to say revenue stream in our company. So we have our media and editorial team, our branded content team, our affiliate marketing team, and now, as of yesterday was announced, we have also a commerce team because Highsnobiety is moving into the space of e-commerce. Super big deal for us. I don't know if anyone here heard about it, but for us it was huge. And also exciting for me because I'm going to move as product manager from the media team to the commerce team, so this is pretty exciting. But when joining Highsnobiety, it was a very, very different experience from WeTransfer. So that's made me realize that every company actually has a super, super different approach to product and tech. Also because Highsnobiety is not at all a tech company, so what does that look like and how does that work? And how do you adapt as a product manager to make sure that, we're all striving to work agile, right? That's like the magic word, the magic process, but it's gonna be so hard if your company is not set up to actually work like that as well. So that's how I came up with these 5 learnings on how I approach adapting and understanding the company that you're in as a product manager. I'll first sum them up and go a bit deeper afterwards. First one, know the market that your company is in. Second one, know your stakeholders. Third one, understand their goals. Fourth one, in a non-tech company, evangelize product and tech. And the fifth one is collaborate with your team. Let me take a quick sip. So the first one, learn about your market that the company is in, because it really, really influences the cadence that your company works at. So for example, Highsnobiety is strongly aligned to the fashion industry, and the fashion industry is super rigid because they're working with physical products that have their own timelines, their set deadlines, and that influences the way we work as well. It's almost a bit, I want to say waterfall, but that's really a no-no word in tech, but it makes your work a little bit more waterfall. And even though we're striving to have an iterative way of working, this has influence on us as a tech team as well. So the second point is know your most important stakeholders. At WeTransfer, it was quite obvious our users were our stakeholders because they were using the product, we're making the product for them, and they need to be happy. At Highsnobiety, it's quite different because all the stakeholders that we are building our software for are our internal stakeholders. And they are then again working with external stakeholders that are setting their deadlines and their pace. So understanding how that network works and where you sit as a product manager helps you a lot. Third point, understanding the goals of your stakeholders. Underlying to this point is more understanding the business models in your company, because then you understand where your stakeholders want to go and what they're striving for, and it helps you find the best solutions. And also sometimes maybe it's not even a technical solution, because your stakeholders will ask you for a certain feature, and then in the end it's not a feature that they need, but maybe something simpler. Fourth point, evangelize product and tech in your company. What I've found that besides understanding how to work with your stakeholders, it's also super important to teach them how to work with you, because tech has a certain way of working. Sometimes they assume that it's easy to make a certain feature, but you need to be, as a product manager and as a bridge between the company and the tech team, you need to explain to them as well and be proactive in telling how product actually works. Last point, this is something that I also did at WeTransfer and really enjoyed, but also really important at Highsnobiety, is find the way how you want to work amongst your team, because you might have your company, you might have your stakeholders, they might set strict deadlines for you, but you also need to understand how your team wants to work and what they expect from certain, if, for example, we're pitching a feature to our team, what do they expect from the product manager to deliver for requirements, for example. So we have this huge launch coming up for commerce, and that, after a discussion with my team, made us switch from 2-week sprints to actually 1-week sprint, because it made more sense, because our business users came up with requirements super late. We had to adjust stuff during the sprint, and that just made the team super frustrated. So shortening the sprint made us a little bit more flexible. And that actually were the 5 points already. My conclusion is, as a product manager, it's super important to listen, learn, and adapt, and make sure that you understand the context that you're in, because your role is wherever it needs to be, right? Like, you need to fit and understand and explain everything a little bit. So it's important to know what's going on. And that was my presentation.
Thank you very much. Yeah, there's already questions here. So, yeah.
What does it mean that Highsnobiety is going into commerce? Can you elaborate a bit?
Yeah, for sure. So our CEO and founder actually did a podcast yesterday with Business of Fashion, where he said, or told everyone that we're building our own commerce platform. There are different ways that we're going to do this, but I don't know. Daniel, do you think I can tell everyone with who we're launching? This is my colleague, Daniel.
Kind of a secret.
Yeah, it was a secret.
It's already not a secret, but
Yeah.
let's
So
say it's a personal brand.
no, I think because our CEO already said it, I think I can say it. So our launch partner is Prada, and what that means is that we're going to be the exclusive retailer selling a certain line of Prada products. But this can be adapted in different ways. So we can do collaborations, but we own basically the whole e-commerce backend, and we'll have a warehouse and everything. So what that will look like, we'll have to see.
Other questions?
What do you think is going to be your biggest challenge when moving to e-commerce?
I think my biggest challenge will be, because my background, I came from industrial design engineering, so I'm not a developer. So my biggest, I think, challenge will be understanding how the back end works. So one of our lead developers did a bit of a breakdown for me, and we have, I think, almost 3 different systems to get this whole thing going, to go from warehouse to information, sending emails, to actually sending the information to the website. And then we have another platform that is calculating our taxes. So it's kind of a crazy setup. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge.
Questions from the left? I just always make sure that I also look there, because I sometimes forget about them.
Thank you. Hi, love your presentation.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do you have an example of how do you evangelize the tech and product part?
I mean, to be super, super honest, we can do a better job at it, because you need to make it a priority. Examples are doing demos for your company, but for me as a product manager, I always take the time, instead of just in a meeting, if someone pitches an idea to you, instead of just saying, no, we can't do that, no, we're not going to do it, also take the time to explain, if we're going to do A, it's going to take us a full week, but we can come to the same solution that you're striving for, going this different route, and we can have it tomorrow. It's just not going to be a tech feature. So explaining how actually the big impact is, how big the impact is of certain questions already helps a lot, because I already start noticing, like, for example, our creative director, Brand, will say, oh, but this is going to be too much work for tech. No, we can't do this, blah, blah, blah. So I think taking the time to explain is also useful.
Newsletter as well.
Huh?
Newsletter. I mean, we have a monthly newsletter when we are sharing our progress and.
Right.
Yeah,
That is one of the aims.
Yeah. Just like. Yeah, just like exactly for commerce project. So we are sharing what we have done at this time and what we are planning to do, and just to update other team members from other departments what's going on in commerce. Yeah, internal.
Before I come back here, I have one question. Like, you said a lot about how you have to bring this product and tech thinking into the company.
Yeah.
But have you come across certain elements where you think tech can also learn from fashion?
Ooh, interesting question. Well, I'd have to think about that. I mean, it definitely, the way it works, it sets our deadlines, right? So tech-wise, it's not our preferred way of working, to work with these rigid deadlines, but I think looking how they influence us is in how we design features, for example, because I feel like we always try to give our internal teams the opportunity to customize pages, to make it as flexible as we can, as clear as we can, so that they can make the curated content that they want to make. So in that way, it influences us to stay flexible with our features.
Interesting. Running to the back.
So I wanted to ask you, what is the difference of Highsnobiety and Hypebeast, the company Kevin Ma founded? And what is your goal if you would compare it with Hypebeast? I mean, Hypebeast changed the culture, basically, the whole Asian, and influenced the whole Asian culture. If you maybe can explain a little bit. I mean, it's a huge topic, but just a little bit.
Yeah, huge. So basically, Hypebeast is our main competitor, I think I would say. But Hypebeast is based in Hong Kong. I think the company is based there. So I feel like their influence is stronger in that area, and I think Highsnobiety is a bit more, because we have a big office in New York as well, a bit more Europe and US focused. But it's difficult for me to say or compare or even make a statement about how they are different, because I think they both do their own things. So yeah, maybe I feel like Highsnobiety is a bit more grown up in a way, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, it's hard for me to say.
At the very back now.
So I think the most interesting part was like how different fashion is from tech, like the waterfall thing and stuff. How do you make the tech team like work with the timelines that fashion has? I think that's pretty interesting. Like, how do you bring that together, actually?
I must say this is one of the biggest struggles, because ultimately the best way to develop software is agile. I make jokes about it, but it's the best way to set the work for your team and to plan your work. So for me, the most important thing is pressing actually your internal stakeholders on requirements. It sounds kind of boring, but always keep on asking the questions to make sure that before you start developing something, you fully understand what they're asking. And I already, you see it falling through the cracks a little, right? Like, with a project we're doing now, that sometimes the requirements keep on changing because we didn't ask the right questions. So I think that's the most important thing, to deal with that. But the external deadlines, yeah, there's nothing we can do. We have to deal.
Okay, maybe one or two more questions, and then some lukewarm pizza.
I've got a question about the requirements you mentioned.
Yes.
So when you work about agile, the word requirement is sometimes a bit like frowned upon. So in where I come from, we always try to have like a goal-oriented setting. So we say we want to get there and not get a business requirement from someone who doesn't understand agile or just likes the buzzword.
Yeah.
How do you deal with this in your everyday work?
Well, I'm afraid we're working with the requirements. So, I mean, I wish I could write a nice user story and work with our developers and designers to figure out different routes to get there, but ultimately, our business user, they know what they're doing, right? They're specialists in their field, so I can say I frown upon the word of requirements, but they know better what they're aiming towards and how they want to do that, and I can come up with the most solid product solution or the best tech solution for the thing that they're setting for us. So I don't frown upon requirements. I find it quite interesting, actually, to learn about what they're doing as well.
You talked a little bit about collaborating with stakeholders. I'm wondering what role design plays.
So it's interesting at WeTransfer, for me, design was product design, right? So how to technically design a website or an app. And here at Highsnobiety, we have so many different types of creatives around. So I work really closely with one of our product designers, but basically he's an all-rounder. He can do UI, UX, which makes it really easy for me. So shout out to Nano, who's not here. But we also have a graphics team that works on our photos and editing and graphic design. So it's always finding a way to marry these two types
I
of
was
design.
a little bit more curious about the ways of working with the product designer. So, for example, with the
Oh,
UX
right.
UI you mentioned.
Sorry. So we brief our UX UI designer with requirements. That's not through a ticket, but mostly through an initial meetings where we sit together, talk through things, mostly with one of our business stakeholders, and then he will do his own thing and then talk with me through certain ideas he has, certain directions, and we'll have a final sign-off with our business stakeholder.
Thanks.
Welcome.